The Red Raiders have advanced to the Elite Eight, the first overtime game of March Madness. And it came after Texas Tech was down by 16 points midway through the second half. Now, normally in the college game, if you're up by 16 points, you are going to punch your ticket and advance. But Coach John Calipari's Razorbacks, who were technically the 10th seed, although many did not perceive them as the 10th seed because of all the NIL payments and just the aura of John Calipari. But Texas Tech has advanced. They will play the number 1 seed Florida in the West Regional Final. That'll take place on Saturday. The better story, now you know where the better story is. That's right. The better story is in the losing locker room. And man, did that thing come apart. So let's ask the question. Did Texas Tech assert their will when they fell behind by 16 points, or did John Calipari and his Arkansas squad lose it? All right, so my thoughts on this. I've got the Trojan, Staples, and Locomotive. And we'll run through all of these things, all of them, and we are going to make a nice vacation to Bahamas because John Calipari can now go to the Bahamas. So, to answer the question, did Texas Tech assert their will, or did John Calipari and Arkansas lose it? Well, the arrow is pointing at Coach Cal, who was at the controls in the cockpit on, yep, you're right, the Vomit Comet. Oh, my God. Arkansas was looking so good. I was like, it's good. Calipari's fun to talk about on the radio. He says stupid things. He dresses. He's got this debonair look to him and all that. But, man alive. Arkansas goes up by 16, and the big fundamental, Arkansas gets this massive advantage, well, relatively speaking, massive, and then they grab the sleeping bag, and the only question is, did John Calipari read them some bedtime lullabies as they took a nap? I mean, holy cannoli here. The hard drive got a Trojan horse virus and malfunctioned as Texas Tech was liberated and advanced to the second round. But the things that stood out, and this is often the case, it's not like this is just an Arkansas problem. We're not exactly talking chess here. It's more checkers. The little attention to detail. And I didn't think it was going to cost Arkansas, but they had some sloppy offensive possessions when they went up by 16. They were like, let's get some more stats going here. We'll take some circus shots. And then they also decided they had a big enough lead. I guess they didn't really need to lock in on defense. They were undisciplined on defense. And you put those things together, and all of a sudden you got a swan dive. And how unprecedented is the swan dive by Arkansas? The mother of all stats. The mother of all stats is, it's not boom goes the dynamite, but it's pretty much boom goes the dynamite. Entering this game, John Calipari had played his teams had played 35 games in the NCAA tournament in his coaching career, going back to his days at UMass, where they led by 6 or more points at halftime. And John Calipari had been 35-0. His teams, when leading by 6 or more, that was the stat prior to the game, and that tells you what has happened, not what's going to happen. As a result, Texas Tech gets her done. They get her done, and they advance. Now, elsewhere, we had the Dukies, Cooper Flagg, and the number 1 seed Duke continue monster mashing in the NCAA tournament with a little controversy, but 193 win as they went turbo-tastic early in the second half of this game over Arizona in the Sweet 16. And now the Blue Devils will match up with the number 2 seed Alabama. So the bracket has held. One of those teams is going to the Final Four, but that'll be the Elite Eight matchup. You've got a basketball school, Duke, versus a football school, Alabama. But don't bury the lead, my man. All right, we're not going to bury the lead. So the lead here is the performance of the flag. The flag is up. So how would you describe, for those that did not see it, Cooper Flagg's play for Duke in this game? So having Cooper Flagg on your roster, if you don't know this already, you should know this already, It's like that old marketing campaign from Staples back in the day. It's the Staples easy button when you have Cooper Flagg on your roster. He had 30 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, and we are told a partridge in a pear tree. He had all that, and it would appear, based on his body of work here, which is limited because he's only been at Duke 1 year, cheat code, allowing the Blue Devils to level up. And this is why you've got multiple suckbag NBA franchises that are trying to trust the process and trying to get in on that top pick in the draft, because Cooper Flagg will be the top pick. And he's from Maine, so they can't really rig it so he plays for the team from Maine. Last I checked, they don't have an NBA team, and the Celtics are not going to be in the draft lottery, so that's off the table. So who knows where Cooper Flagg is going to end up, but he will be the prize, the next big thing in the NBA. But he's still got some work to do in the college game, and he's got to earn those NIL checks he's getting for the Dukies. All right, now the last word here. So on a rather overcast, I will use the word overcast, a day in the tournament. We'll go to Newark, New Jersey. They know a thing about overcast, a thing or two about overcast in Newark, New Jersey. So mentioned Alabama. And the number 2 seed, they advanced. They did it with a little razzmatazz. So the number 2 seed, Alabama, set an NCAA tournament record for 3-point shots made. How many do you think they made? Did you see this game? Yeah? All right, you know. Well, somebody else didn't see it, so I'm going to tell them. 25 3-pointers. 25. Against the Tater Tot kids from BYU. Yeah, that's a lot, 25. So a record-setting. And some say for Alabama, because that's a football school, although not much anymore because Nick Saban ain't walking through that door unless he's there to collect a check and cheer for them on television. But Alabama, 25 3-pointers, program-defining win, 113-88. That's an NBA score. That's like a matchup between the Celtics and the Wizards. And that was the final, their East Regional semifinal. So Coach Nate Oates and the Bama squad knocking 25 triples into the net. And they break the record, which was 21, held by Bo Kimball and Loyola Marymount 35 years ago. Wow, where has the time gone? So if you're old enough to remember that amazing magic carpet ride with Bo Kimball, and before that, his buddy who passed away, Hank Gathers. But your thoughts. What are your thoughts on Alabama setting a new standard for most 3 balls knocked down? So obviously it's a historical night. And my thought on this, if you were to compare what Alabama did. Now, the defense was obviously lacking for perimeter defense. You don't need to be an insider in the NBA to know this was not going well for the BYU Cougars defensively. But this Crimson Tide team, even if you leave guys open a lot in college, they'll miss. I don't know if you've noticed that. There's a theme in this tournament and every tournament. But the Crimson Tide were an unstoppable locomotive. Choo-choo! Yeah, of money balls. You get a money ball, you get a money ball, you get a money ball, you get a money ball. And to put into context the historical nature of this, I may or may not remember Loyola Marymount hitting all those 3-point shots back in the day. And while in modern basketball, it's pop-a-shot. You're expected to just shoot 3-point baskets. That's it. That's today's NBA. That's most of college basketball. If you go back a generation and a half to the Loyola Marymount team, which is a small school. Yeah, we're going to the hot tub time machine here. If you go back then, that is a team that looked like they were playing at a different level, like they were playing a different sport. They changed the game. This little school near LAX, which was nothing athletically, and since then has been nothing athletically, and they played at a high school gym. And in those days, the 3-point shot was considered a masculine. It was, you had one guy on the team that would be a 3-point specialist, and the top players, it was unbecoming to shoot a lot of 3-point shots. Can you imagine that? Yeah. Now, if you don't shoot 3-point shots, it's the other way. But the 3-point shot in those years, it was like a side table. It wasn't the sofa. It wasn't the television. It was a side table. And that's what it was. And so it's obviously we've done a 180 since then and gone the complete opposite direction. And so Alabama has the record. It's a safe bet that record will not last another 35 years. That record will be broken within the next 5 years, and probably take the under on that. But how zany was Bama shooting the basketball? I'm glad you asked. So here's how zany it is, and I believe this stat is accurate. Let's say Alabama had not made one 2-point basket. They missed all of their 2-point shots, so they were 0 from the floor. 2-point field goals against BYU. The Crimson Tide made enough 3-point shots where they still would have won the game. They still would have won the game, even if they had not hit a single 2-point shot. Now, methinks that's pretty good. Methinks that's pretty good, and yeah, you do the math on that, and the math works. The math absolutely works.